Good evening. It is evening. Good evening. My name is Christina, and welcome to my home. As you can see, it is pretty sparse behind me. I have had a change in scenery since my last video, I believe. I was also going to apologize for not recording anything since July, but I don't think I will. I got a job in August, which is very exciting for me and very, very good for my wallet and my budget and my life. And so I've obviously been focusing on that. My friend Crystal and I have also been doing some of our double booked book club videos, and we've been putting a little bit more effort into that since we both started working in late 2025. But I decided as part of one of my, I won't call it a New Year's resolution, but some new habits that I want to build, I want to put a little bit more effort into my personal channel. So welcome. Grab a cup of tea or a glass of water or a beverage of your choice. And let's get started. In today's video, I wanted to share some of my goals for 2026. We are currently January 5th, and so I figured, hi, buddy. I figured it's early enough in the year that I can share some of my goals and plans for the year. I have three main goals that I want to share, and yeah, we'll start with that. Goal number one is my number of books that I want to read for the year. I read fairly consistently throughout the year. Reading is one of my favorite hobbies, and I used to set absolutely wild, to me, reading goals, and I was always upset if I couldn't kick those goals. My goal for 2026 is to read 12 books. Ideally, read at least one book a month, and I think that's a pretty achievable goal. Historically, in both 2025 and 2024, I set similar reading goals for 12 books. I did end up increasing that in 2025 from 12 books to 80 books because I ended up reading over 120 books last year. But again, for most of 2025, I was unemployed, so I was reading a lot. The reason I set a very attainable goal is because I like reading. Reading is one of my favorite hobbies. I love diving into new worlds and new stories. Very much likely the similar reasons for why other people like reading as well. But I had a pretty bad reading year in 2020. Obviously things globally kind of went wild, and I don't even remember what my goal was that year. I don't have it written down anywhere, but I read 6 books in 2020, and I remember just being really upset about the fact that I hadn't gotten anywhere near to reading the number of books that I wanted to. I also got married in 2020, and I moved I moved cities. So it was a very big year for me, and I had started a new job at the beginning of the year. So, started a new job, global pandemic, got married, moved. Big, 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 big life changes. And so I only managed to read 6 books. So, because I want to keep reading fun for me, I set attainable goals, and if I want to, I will increase them. But it's not, again, I'm reading for fun. I don't actually care how many books I read other than wanting to hit the 12 minimum. Goal number 2. I have goal number 2. I have several books on my TBR that I have added in the Storygraph app. I use the Storygraph app to track all of my reading. Anyway, my TBR pile currently has 19 books on it. I went through my digital, I'm going to call it a digital TBR because it's on the Storygraph app. I went through my digital TBR pile last week. Might have been Sunday, I don't remember. But like a couple days ago, I went through my digital TBR pile and I purged hard. I am one of those people, and I'm trying to, I wouldn't necessarily say change it, and I'm sure that I will increase this number quite significantly over time and over the year. But just before I started purging this list, I had probably over 200 books on my digital TBR on the Storygraph. And I was scrolling through it. I scroll through it every so often. And so I was scrolling all the way back through and seeing books that I had added in 2020, 2021 to my TBR pile. And they're just not books that I'm interested in reading anymore. So I decided to really hone it down and make this digital TBR a list or a pile or a stack or however you want to call it, a list of books that I actually want to read in the immediate future, or the near future. So I will be sharing my reading plans shortly. I have a third goal to share, and then we will get to my TBR and my reading plans for 2026. Goal number 3 is that I will not feel any shame. I will not take on any shame from other people for DNFing a book. DNF stands for did not finish, and I'm here for it. I have already DNF'd a book in 2026. Now, I will say that it is a soft DNF, so I do plan on picking it up at some point again in the future, whether that's, in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or sometime next year. I don't know, but I have DNF'd a book. And frustratingly for me, it is a book for book club, my in-person smutty book club that is meeting tomorrow. And I think I want to say I got maybe 25% of the way through, and I was just not in the mood for it. Which again, I'm really bummed about. This is going to be the first, so very exciting. I've been going to my book club for a year. January is my 1-year anniversary of joining my in-person smutty book club. And I love my book club so much. I have made such incredible friends. And so I'm really, really bummed that I haven't read this book. I know, again, it's my own fault, but I'm not feeling any shame about it. I started reading it. I just wasn't in the mood. And I am very much a mood reader. So, it is what it is. I didn't want to force myself to read a book that I wasn't enjoying in the moment. And yeah, maybe that means that I'm not going to be a full participant in all of the discussions, but most of the time at book club anyway, we talk for 20 minutes about the book and then we break up into smaller groups and we just talk about personal things. So I'm not overly worried. And one of my favorite people from book club, she often doesn't read the books and she comes anyway for the social aspect. And that's why I joined book club in the first place, was to make friends and have fun. So I'm not holding myself to force read anything that I don't enjoy. And I think a lot of us could stand to take it to heart as well. No, have a drink. I very much used to be the type of person who would force myself to finish a book and then feel immense guilt and shame if I couldn't, because I wasn't enjoying it or I wasn't understanding the material or whatever. And in 2026, we're just building new habits and we're living for us. I'm living for me. If it doesn't serve me, I don't want to do it. So my 3 goals, again, for 2026. I'm going to read 12 books, maybe more, maybe less, hopefully 12. It is what it is. I'm going to not feel bad about modifying my TBR, adding books that I want to read and removing books that I don't think I will enjoy and that I no longer have any interest in reading. And number 3, I am going to DNF books if I am not enjoying them in the moment. I heard someone say recently, I think it was a booktuber or a bookstagrammer, and they were saying something along the lines of that this year, 2026, is going to be a 4 and 5 star read year only. We're going to DNF anything that we are not enjoying. We're not going to rate anything 1, 2, or 3 stars. We're only going to read the books that we enjoy reading and we want to read. And so I am taking that with me and we're going to fucking do it. Let's dive into my TBR. Like I said, I have 19 books on here, and some of them are for book club. Some of them are books that I've borrowed. Some are books that I've wanted to read for a little while. And again, they're on here for now. I'm going to read them when I get to them. But if I'm not enjoying them, I'm going to DNF. And we don't feel shame. In this house, on this channel, in this community, we read what we want. We stop reading what we don't want. I'm going to start from the oldest on the list to the most recent that were added. First book I have is Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. This is a contemporary romance. This appears to be a modern adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. I also believe it is written by a person of color, which is very cool. I am also trying to expand the authors that I read from. I'll have another drink. This is Mint Chocolate Tea by Ted Liam. Very subtle flavor, but I really like it. Second book on my TBR for 2026 is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. My understanding is that they are an Indigenous author, and they are bringing a lot of Indigenous teachings and making them accessible for people who aren't Indigenous or raised in the Indigenous communities. I've had this on my list for a while, and I own a physical copy of this book, so it's been sitting on my bookshelf for a few years. Third book on the list is How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy by Jenny Odell. This again has been on my list for a while and is also a nonfiction. I believe those are the only nonfiction books I have on this list. Yes, 2 nonfictions and 17 fiction. Next, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I read Circe many years ago, and I was trying to be a super serious book critic. And so I didn't, I think I was too critical about the book when I initially read it. And I think I would enjoy it a lot more on a reread with a more hobbyist mentality, as opposed to trying to make it big and be, again, a book blogger. But I've also heard that Song of Achilles is absolutely gut-wrenching and devastating. And sometimes you just want a book that makes you cry. And maybe that'll be one for me. Next on my list is I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki. I apologize if I said that incorrectly. I do not speak Korean. And this book is by Baek Si-hee. I believe this author away recently and maybe struggled with depression and discusses this in this book, and I think that would be a really good thing for me to read also. Okay, next book is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I have 2 V.E. Schwab books on my list. We have A Darker Shade of Magic, which is part of the Shades of Magic series, and then we have Vicious, also by V.E. Schwab, which is part of the Villains series. I have read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I've read Gallant. I also own a copy of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. A friend of mine gave that to me, and that's also on my list. Not on this list, but on I'm going to say my general TBR list for some point in the future. But I've heard the the Darker Shades of Magic series and the Fragile Threads of Power, which I think is a new trilogy that she's releasing. I've heard that those are really, really good, and so I'm really excited to read those. Okay, I think this is technically number 8 on my TBR, is Alchemized by Senlin Yu. I bought a copy of this book a couple weeks ago, and it's a fucking brick. It's an absolutely massive, I should have brought it. I read the fan fiction that it was originally written as, Manacled, and I thought it was okay. I didn't understand the hype, but now that it's been rewritten and traditionally published as Alchemized, and I've heard other people talking about it, and they've read both, and they're saying that Alchemized, they enjoyed Alchemized, or they loved Alchemized a lot more. And I trust a lot of the people who have read these books and read both, and so I also want to read it. Next book is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I believe my book club is reading this for the month of March. Also a brick. I also have a physical copy of this, so I plan on reading this end of February into March for my book club. And we also are planning on reading the sequel, The Ballad of Fallen Dragons, in May or June. So we've got both Moonfall books on the list so far. The next 2 books are books that I have borrowed from a friend, and I've had these books already for several months, and they're some of Crystal, who I do double booked with. They're some of her favorites, and so I want to give them a read. And I think actually this first book here was one of the book club books. I think it was her first month of book club last year, or I guess just over a year ago. She started a month before me. And it is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. And then the next one, also I borrowed from Crystal, is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I think Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies is a YA book, I think it's YA, and Throne of the Fallen is an adult romance. I would say most of the books that I read in 2025 were romance heavy, and I'm still planning on reading a lot of romance novels because I really love them, but I'm also trying to be a little bit more open to branching out a little bit further, and it's exciting. Okay, next we have Coucoum by Michel Jean. This is a book that my father gave me, and he gave me the original French copy. I believe it was written by a French Canadian, and it is the story of an orphan who falls in love with an Indigenous man. My father said it was very good. We saw each other at Christmas, and he wouldn't stop talking about it, and was trying to get the rest of my family to read it as well. Next on the list is, I think, technically number 13, but who's counting? Brother Song by T.J. Klune. This is book 4 in the Green Creek series, which follows Wolf Song, Raven Song, and Heart Song. Heart Song was one of my top reads of the year in 2025, and I have tried to start Brother Song so many times, but as I mentioned previously, I am very much a mood reader, and so I need to be in the right mindset to read this book, and I haven't been every other time that I picked it up. Then we have Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is the sequel to Bride, again by Ali Hazelwood. Bride is also one of my top books of all time, and when we did it for my book club, I had picked up a copy of Mate, but again, wasn't in the mood to read it, and never picked it up again. Okay, just a few more. We have Brimstone by Callie Hart, which is the sequel to Quicksilver. My book club is also reading Brimstone for our February book club pick, and I'm looking forward to reading that. Then we have Your Knife, My Heart by K.M. Moranova. This is, I believe, an adult romance. Again, I don't know a whole lot about it. It was first published in 2025, and I think there's at least a sequel. I don't know if it's a duology or a planning on being a larger series, but so far there are 2 books out, and if I like the first one, my plan is to read the second one. Then I have The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Rash, which is technically book 1 in the Royals and Romance series, which I believe are a series of interconnected standalones. It looks like so far there are 2 books in this series. The Nightmare Before Christmas follows the one of the princes of Christmas and the prince of Halloween. We have Cole and Hex, and they fall in love, and I'm excited to read it. And the last book I have on my list is also another book club pick, and it is Rites of the Starling by Devney Perry. This is our book club pick for April, I think. And I think we're also going to read Shield of Sparrows, which is book 1 in the Shield of Sparrows trilogy. It's very good, very good, very good. Now, like I said, if I come across any other books that I think I will enjoy, I will add them to my TBR. I'm not limiting myself, and I'm sure I will build up this TBR again to be, tens or 50 and 100 books. I'm not mad about it. I also remember someone referring to their to be read pile as a menu and not a to-do list. And I really like that. So again, these are books that I think I will enjoy. If I start a book and I don't like it, I will DNF it and I will not be mad at myself for it. And yeah, I hope I have a really good reading year. I had an excellent reading year in 2025. I read over 120 books, which is absolutely wild. I've never gotten close to that before. Yeah, so I hope you also have a really good reading year. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you've made it to the end, please leave a comment down below and let me know what some of your reading goals are for the year or what books you're really looking forward to reading in 2026. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. I don't have a lot of followers at the moment, which is fine. I'm just doing this for fun. But I would like to hit 10 subscribers, which I think would be kind of nice. Let me see. Do I have 10 already? I don't think so. How many subscribers do I have? I have 9 subscribers. I just need 1 more to get to 10. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun? So please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below of what your reading goals are for 2026, or again, what you're looking forward to reading. And if you would like to follow along on my reading journey, obviously continue to watch my videos, but you can follow me on the Storygraph, and I'll leave my links down below. My links, I only have 1 link. I will leave my link down below for that as well. I appreciate you sticking around, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.